Welcome to Click Millionaires Video Office Hours. I'm Scott Fox. This is the time that Click Millionaires members spend together to get to know each other a little better in the chat room. We had a little extra of that already today. And to ask some questions of me, and hopefully I have a couple clever things to say to help you get going, and hopefully you can help each other some more in the chat room too. I appreciate your patience while we got the technical difficulties worked out, but I guess you can hear me and see me again. It's a beautiful day here in Southern California, as those of you who tuned in early saw, but I guess we'll stick to the office for this broadcast, and we'll be stuck with just one little palm tree over here, I guess, for a change of pace. All right, so my apologies for the production delay, but here we go. So Click Millionaires Video Office Hours is about you guys, and the idea is to provide a space where people can get together and ask questions. When I have built websites, and I've worked with probably hundreds, certainly hundreds actually, of internet startups over the years, where a lot of people get hung up is that they don't have a technical background or maybe a business background, or they don't have $1 million in venture capital, and they feel that they're kind of behind the eight ball in an awkward position, that they don't have the platform to support them when they go out and build something. It might be their first time, they're a little insecure about it, they want some people to talk to, and most importantly, they want a place to ask questions. Because the problem with so many of the services online is they presume that you spend all day online. And most of you don't. And that's okay. The attitude of most internet service providers, and by this I mean like all the social media gurus and consultants and especially salespeople and even the services. If you don't know how Twitter or Facebook or Google Analytics or even Netflix, if you don't understand how that stuff works because you work with it every day, engaging with it to build a business can be an extra challenge. So, I wrote Click Millionaires, my latest book, which as usual is missing. Here it is. I wrote Click Millionaires, and I started the Click Millionaires forum so that you guys would have a place to come and ask questions. And I don't have all the answers, but together, the couple thousand of us that are in the forum these days, we can help each other. And I do spend all day online pretty much, so I have more answers than most of you, I guess. And I've been doing it longer too, right? But the idea is to help you all get up to the next level and that we can help each other too. So thanks for being here. And we're going to talk about your questions. So I've got a bunch of them here from that people wrote in the forum and sent me by email and so forth. So we can do those, and we will do these. But I would also love to hear from you in the chat room if you're here. And I know a lot of you have been here for a while, waiting for this to start. Excuse me. This is not a webinar. It's just a show. It's just a time for us to talk to each other and to talk to each other. So if you like this sort of thing, please, while we're all sitting around online, please tell your friends on Facebook or tell your friends on Twitter and spread the word, because the more of us we have, the better. The more active the forum is and the more good answers you get to your questions. So let me get going without any further delay. Colleen Hutchison wrote in, and of course, more of those of you who are live in the chat room are welcome to post questions as well, okay? So, Colleen, we're going to start with Colleen Hutchison. Colleen wrote in and she said, I'd love to find a resource for those of us who are total newbies and extremely tech challenged, where we can get some simple step-by-step in English, instead of computerese, how to do things. I'm talking about like setting up plugins, connecting blogs to social media, really basic stuff that makes little sense to those of us who are new to this and know little about computers beyond using search engines, checking emails, or typing a Word document. Any suggestions? Right now I'm struggling with configuring plugins for my WordPress site. Okay, Colleen, the answer I have for you is not what you're expecting, but the best answer I have for that is, and this is going to shock you and maybe be controversial for a lot of you in the chat room, so we can debate it in the chat room and in the forum later. Don't use WordPress. WordPress is a pain in the ass. WordPress is an extremely powerful platform, but that means it has lots of bolts and nuts and gears and levers and all kinds of configuration issues that are really challenging for a newbie. It's really challenging even for me. I don't prefer to use WordPress. I use a program called TypePad. And TypePad doesn't have nearly the power and configuration and flexibility of WordPress. But that's okay with me because I don't need all that stuff. And the other thing is WordPress updates itself constantly. There's a WordPress framework that is constantly being patched, and they're finding security holes and things like that. And it's better than it used to be, certainly. But now there's all these plugins and stuff. So even if you get the framework in place, after you do all the research of picking a theme and figuring out if it has good support. Then you've got to add all this other stuff to it, and every one of those steps not only takes your time, but it opens your business to potential security breaches. And more importantly, constant distractions from your goal of building a business, right? The goal here for you is not to become a WordPress expert or in anything technical expert. My goal for you is to build a lifestyle business that allows you to do something you enjoy. So Colleen, I don't know how old you are, but if you are older than about 20, I'm guessing that your goal in life is not to become a WordPress expert or in anything computer-related expert. So I would step away from WordPress. That's the simplest answer, because there is no answer to your question. Your answer is there one place to explain everything in simple English? No, because it's a constantly moving target. Now, I'll talk in a second about a couple places that could be of help to you if you're already committed to WordPress. But there are lots of alternatives to WordPress. It gets all the press, and it's a great program, but it's not for, a beginner. Think about like martial arts. There's a white belt, yellow belt, green belt, blue belt, brown belt, black belt, okay? You're a white belt, but you're tackling what I would say is at least a blue, if not a brown belt system. I think you'd be better off starting my top recommendations. By the way, if you look on the site, under the recommendations tab, let's see, if you're on the site, they'd be up there, right? And there's a pull down of all kinds of recommendations. There's hosting recommendations and domain name registration recommendations, etc., etc. My recommendations for site builders are discussed in one of those articles. And they include things like Site Build It, TypePad, which I just mentioned, Jimdo, CityMax, some people like Wix, Moonfruit. There's lots of services that make building your first website really easy. And honestly, I would like to see you build your first website and make some money before you spend all this time becoming really smart about WordPress. Or, if you've got a budget, hire somebody to help you be smart about WordPress. It's a very steep hill to climb for a beginner, and my answer to you, Colleen, is there is no answer to your question. It is not easy. There's no way to make it easy other than spending a lot of time, and I'd rather have you spend your time on the business than the technology. Now, I promised you a couple answers about some places you could look. Some places you could look are lynda.com, Lynda.com. Maybe somebody could type that in the chat room. Lynda.com is a place you can go, and they have lots of tutorials. We have a WordPress for beginners video series in the Masterminds group. You guys are all in the free forum. There's a $39 a month Click Millionaires Masterminds forum, which is much smaller, but there's a lot of other benefits of being a member there, and one of them is we have a series of how to set up your WordPress site, free video series that's included in your membership there. And then you can just go to YouTube and type in anything specific you'd like. But honestly, it's hard for the web to keep up with all the plugins and security patches and blah, blah, blah that WordPress is constantly subjecting its users to. Now, I know that's a little controversial, but that, I think, is the truth. Site Build It or TypePad or something simple like that. These are discussed more in the forum or in the recommendation section I mentioned. They're all mentioned in my books. But I don't think WordPress is a great introductory solution. So I hope that's helpful. I can see the chat room going crazy here, so I probably pissed a lot of people off. The WordPress debate is a little bit like Windows versus Mac, right? People on both sides are convinced they're right, a little almost like religion, But WordPress is not the best answer for everybody, and I think it's okay if it's not the best answer for you. All right, let's see what the chat room says about that. Jack says, I did not expect that response. Let's see. Me too, says Sally. Let's see. WordPress is the tail wagging the dog. That's very well put, Jack. I think that's right. Tanya says, I use RV Site Builder and can teach newbies in 3 hours to build a website. Okay, everybody say hi to Tanya in the on the site there, and maybe she can help you out. Let's see. Dave says, I love WordPress, but wouldn't try to put things together in it myself. I just pay someone else to do it, as I really wouldn't want to learn coding in that detail. And this is coming from Dave, who's one of the nicest guys in the forum, who's won the Community Star Award, and who is a full-time design and advertising and web guy, right? Dave is a pro in this space, and he does not do this himself. Good example there. And I don't do it myself either. So WordPress is not for the faint of heart. Let's see. Kevin says, outsourcing things you don't know will save you a lot of time and frustration. I outsource some of the things I do. Exactly. And in fact, Kevin is a WordPress expert, and you can outsource to him at crazywpgeek.com if you need some help. So Lynn says, I like WordPress. Okay, fine. Absolutely, Lynn. Different strokes for different folks. I'm not trying to dissuade anybody. As my dad always used to say, not everybody likes vanilla. That's why they make chocolate. And that's okay. Okay, so let's see here. And Trisha, yes, I feel so stupid sometimes. Exactly. That's what WordPress does to people. And I don't want you guys to feel stupid. You're not stupid. You have just spent your time learning other things, right? If we put you in a lineup with the world's biggest WordPress expert, there's going to be 100 things that you know better than he or she does. And that's okay. But when you go and try to use WordPress, you're trying to compete with people who spend their lives on this stuff. So anyway, I think we've got the point. It sounds like that didn't anger as many people as I thought, so that's good. But I'd love your feedback on this, and it's a great topic for the forum. We get new people all the time, and if you can help me point them toward those recommendations, it's almost like we need a WordPress Anonymous or something, you know, people who are afraid to admit they don't get it, because WordPress is not easy, and it's presented as if it is easy, because most of the people on the internet are on the internet like all the time, and it is easy for them. So, Charles, great point. WordPress isn't that difficult if you watch YouTube videos. That's a great summary, Charles. Thanks for chiming in there. I agree with that. WordPress is explained in copious detail on all kinds of WordPress videos, and the step-by-step guidance you can find there is great. If the video you watch isn't from an outdated version, you know, if it's more than about 6 or 8 months old, it can just be more confusing than helpful. So that's a hit or miss, but I think YouTube is a great resource. So thanks for chiming in there, Charles. Okay, good. So now we're rocking, right? We're doing some information here, maybe changing people's minds about stuff. Let's see. Let's go on to our friend. I don't think anybody chimed in with a question here while I was talking, but if there was, maybe somebody can surface that for me and I'll grab it. Otherwise, I'll keep going with the ones you posted in the forum, okay? Sally says, it's taken me weeks with WordPress and I'm not a lot further forward. Exactly. Those plugins and configuration, I mean, listen, TypePad is what I use. It's not as pretty, it's not as flexible, it's not as powerful, but you put stuff in and it works. You don't spend any time buying themes. I mean, this whole idea of having to buy an extra design, it seems like a lot more steps have been added with WordPress to the point where it's harder to use than it pretends. Okay, on to a new topic. Sheila, our good friend Sheila and moderator. But I think that Sheila has a good question here that I wanted to share for you. She says, thanks for doing another video office hours. I love them and learn so much every time I participate. Thanks, Sheila. And thanks for all your help in the forum. Guys, Sheila is working hard for all of us to keep things going because I can't be there all the time. And between Sheila and Kevin, they're keeping the conversations moving and hopefully helping a lot of you as well. And of course, to the extent you can all help each other, that would be super too. On to my questions. I would like to know the best way to set up categories to keep a site organized and how to write the category titles to help with search engine optimization. And also any general tips for getting started with site SEO, such as, is the tagline important? Is there an SEO way to writing post titles, meta tags, etc.? I know these are big questions, but I'd like a few tips to help me get started on the right track. Okay, so let's talk about search engine optimization. This is a great topic and one that is also endlessly changing like WordPress, but not as bad as WordPress. There are fundamentals that you can learn that I want you all to learn that will save you thousands of dollars, and we'll get into those for a second. I just wanted to point out our friend Colleen chimed in on Sheila's question and says, oh, I second the questions from Sheila with regards to setting up SEO, preferably in this same talk to me like I'm an idiot because in this setting I am type of language I requested with WordPress. Colleen, I love that. Talk to me like I'm an idiot because in this setting I am type of language. Okay, now I know you're not an idiot, obviously, because you're smart enough to figure this stuff out and you're smart enough to be asking the right questions. Okay, so let's talk about search engine optimization here for a second. Starting with categories. So categories for search engine optimization are a big deal because if you enable the categories to show up on your website page, they often show up in the sidebars, and then they link to everything in that category. And all those blog posts include the fact that they have been categorized as that. So if you are, say you have a blog about bicycles, and one of your categories is mountain bikes. Every post that you do about mountain bikes will be linked to from the category, and every mountain bike post will have the category tag mountain bike on it. So those two together reinforce for the search engines that each of these pages with that category is about mountain bikes, and that's what you want. Search engine optimization. Here's what search engine optimization is. It's not magic, it's not scary, it's not a black box. It's creating patterns that a computer can recognize so it can categorize your site correctly. Creating patterns that a computer can easily recognize so that it can categorize your site correctly. So when Google search engine spiders come to your site, they're not reading your site. They can't read, it's a computer. It's looking for patterns. So if somebody types in a search about mountain bikes, Google goes into its huge database and says, where are all the sites that talk about mountain bikes? And it narrows the field, and it does this really fast. Okay, now which of these have the most links about mountain bikes on them? Okay, and of those, which of these has the words mountain bikes that most closely matches exactly the question that this person typed into our Google search box? Here it is, Sheila's site, mountain bikes. That's how search engines work. There's no magic to it. It's pattern recognition, repetition of keywords, both on your site and having other sites link to your pages using those same words. Every one of those is a vote in Google's calculations for what your site and each page on your site is about. So each of those votes adds up. So to answer your question, that's fairly straightforward, at least to me, because I've given that speech a few times. And Sheila and Colleen, I'll keep going, and anybody else, come in the forum. We can unpack that a bit, of course, if you'd like. Now, so the categories. So yes, the categories are important, as are the taglines and everything else, because every time you put text on the page, you're adding additional votes in Google's calculation of what your sites and pages are about. So if your site's about mountain bikes, and you write and never mention the word mountain bikes, well, the computer is going to judge that it's not really about mountain bikes. So you need to figure out every place you can to put the word mountain bikes. And this means, to your point, Sheila, each of your category titles should be descriptive and short and specific to those topics. And you want to have, I don't know, at least half a dozen categories, but not 300 either. So figure out kind of what your hierarchy of what your website is about, and think about 6 to 10 to 15 categories. Everything you do should lump into these 6 or 10 categories, and you can have a couple stragglers, or offbeat or off topic or whatever, miscellaneous sort of categories too. But you want to focus around those typical categories. And then you want to repeat those mountain bike type keywords anywhere you can that's important. So is the tagline important? Yes. If the tagline is in text. Here's a big point for those of you that are new to search engine optimization. Computers, meaning Google, can't read images. It can't see the image. So if the tagline of your site is sheilasmountainbikes.com, and your tagline is the best deals on mountain bikes on earth, and that's in a graphic, it doesn't make any difference. Because Google can't read a graphic. It doesn't have eyes. It's just looking in the code. And unless the code is unless the code contains text with the words mountain bike in text, it won't see it. So your tagline on your graphic can be whatever you want. But if you want a tagline or anything else on your site to be counted for search engine optimization purposes, it has to be in text. So you would put a header on your page in text, in simple HTML text that says best mountain bikes on earth. And then Google would be able to see it. I could go on about this for hours. In fact, we should probably keep moving. Hopefully that's enough to get you started. There's a report at scottfoxshop.com, which is my store, that is search engine optimization in plain English. And it's like 60 or 70 pages of this kind of stuff that breaks it down in plain English. It's literally called that, Colleen, to your point, search engine optimization in plain English. And I wrote this a couple years ago. The principles still apply. I think it's $50 or something like that. Seriously, it will save you thousands of dollars in search engine optimization, consulting fees. Or we can just talk about it for free in the forum. But if you want the fast track, that report could tremendously help any of you that have search engine optimization questions. Plus, we can follow up on any questions that you have after you read it in the forum, of course. Okay, now let's see. We've got some new folks here. Jack says, I'm always suspicious of search results because I think they are biased by advertisers. Yeah, Google gets in trouble with that sometimes. I think they're biased more, actually, Jack, toward professionals. Because you can have a really good website. You might have the best content on earth about mountain bikes or stuffed animals or French cooking, whatever your topic is. You might have the best site on earth, but unless you know how to search engine optimize it and you're competing with other people who are search engine optimizing, it won't get seen as much. And that really bothers me. Google presumes that you are out there recruiting other links to your site, that you're active on Facebook, that you're tweeting, that you're in Google+, that you're building links, and that other bloggers are talking about you and linking back. And I just don't think that's true. I mean, I don't have a better idea, but that idea of voting by counting the links that the number of times that other sites link to you, that's the PageRank algorithm by which they rank their pages, and it was invented by Larry Page. Larry Page, that was part of his PhD thesis at Stanford, and that's the patent that underlies all the innovation at Google. They count links from other sites as votes. And it's very clever. Like I said, I don't have a better idea, but it presumes that you're out there making other people link to you. So if you had a brilliant solution to all the world's problems and you just put it on your site and didn't tell anybody and didn't get anybody else to link back, you wouldn't show up in the search engines. So I think that is a bias that really bugs me, because a lot of us are really good at what we do and we want to spend time doing what we do instead of convincing the world to link back to us. That's a real bias that I don't have any good answer to, but that's the way the game is played these days, and that's perhaps worth more discussion in the forum too. Hey, if you're tuning in late, I'm Scott Fox. You're listening to Click Millionaire's Video Office Hours. This is a free service for those of us who are members at clickmillionaires.com, which I like to call the friendliest online coaching community on the internet. And you can see by the great turnout we have in the forum, in the chat room here today. We do this live every couple of weeks. These days it's every 2 weeks on Wednesday afternoons. And we get people from all over the world. So just before I forget, let me say hi to Brad and Charles and Connie and Dave and Ellie and Jack and Kevin and LeGrand and Lori and Mariana and Mona and Rick and Ron and Saeed and Sally and Sheila and Steve and Tanya and Terry and Tricia and a bunch more who have come and gone already. It's great to see you all, and I'm glad you're here, okay? This is how we get going, and you can move even faster if you participate in these video office hours, and I appreciate you being here and taking the time because I know you all are busy. All right, let's see here. Charles says, I'd love to know your thoughts on backlinks to drive traffic to your site. Yeah, well, backlinks are great, Charles. You need them. And it's not just for humans. Per my conversation a second ago about search engine optimization, you need those links back to your site so that Google will rank your site higher. Every link back to you, again, is a vote. It's a vote. And you need more of those backlinks to get your site ranked higher. At least if you're in a competitive area. You know, if you have a unique domain name, a unique domain of expertise, and a niche on something that there's no competition, then you can rank right away. You'll be #1 for something really obscure really quickly, and maybe that's all you need. That's fine. But if you're going to compete in an area that's crowded, or where even if it's not crowded, but your competitors are savvy about search engine optimization, you need those links. Absolutely. Let's see, Connie's got a question here. What's domain mapping? Exactly what do those words mean? Domain mapping, Connie, is when you, switching topics here, domain mapping is when you buy a domain like scottsnewwebsite.com, and you register your domain, let's say at GoDaddy or any registrar that you like, but you're going to host the site somewhere else, say like TypePad, as I was saying a few minutes ago. You're going to take the domain and you're not going to transfer the domain over to TypePad. In this case, TypePad doesn't even have a registrar system, so you couldn't do that even if you wanted to. But even if you can transfer it, some do both, I'd leave it where it is, or wherever all your other domains are. And domain mapping means that you tweak a few buttons over here and a few buttons over here so that you tell GoDaddy, if any traffic shows up to scottsnewwebsite.com, send it over here. And over on this site, you tell the website host, hey, if we get any traffic that's coming to this from this pointer, then make sure that the URL shows up as scottsnewwebsite.com / whatever the page name is. So it substitutes that domain name, your ideal domain name, for their brand. So it wouldn't be any longer typepad.com / yournewproject.html or blogspot / yournewproject.html or wordpress.org or something like that. It's where you use the domain to map over. It's like an overwriting from the customer's point of view at your hosted website service. I hope that makes sense, but once again, if it didn't, I'm sure our friends in the chat room can help you out, and we can talk about it more in the forum. But that's all it is. It's just a tweet. It's like a forwarding address, really. Except that forwarding kind of means something else in web language, but that's kind of what it is. It's like kind of when you move, you send in a change of address card to the post office. It's kind of like that, and it overwrites, maps is the lingo, the domain that's there with the one that you want people to see. And it's not too tough a process. It sounds harder than it is. Okay, and oh, thank you, Dave. You already answered that, it looks like. Good job. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. Okay, next up, let's take a couple more of these. Christine chimes in. Christine says, "Hi, Scott. Given the latest hacking attempts on WordPress sites," see, here we go again, WordPress hacking, "what's the best plugin for backing up one's website files?" Thanks, Christine. Christine, that's a great question. In fact, you must have missed it. I think that there is a thread on the site where our friend Kevin answered this the other day. The best place to back up, or the best plugin for backing up WordPress sites, was just discussed. I don't want to mess up the discussion right now and try to find it, but go on the site, look in the WordPress users forum. That part of this, we have that new section. By the way, did you guys notice we have a new section of the forum specifically for WordPress questions and topics? So just in case you think I'm bagging on WordPress too much, we actually started a specific WordPress section because I know a lot of you are using it, and it is a great tool. And backing it up is a great idea, Christine, so it's a good question. But go look over there and search for a, I don't know if Kevin started that. It might have been Sheila that started. Anyway, that's already answered in the forum, and I don't remember the name of the plugin offhand. Okay? Okay, let's see here. Next up was a bunch of talk here in the backlink something. Okay, Terry, that's a great question. Why don't you just, you can post that in the Masterminds forum. You're a member over there, and it is confusing. I'm testing stuff. That's why you're confused. You're not crazy. But why don't you post it in the Masterminds forum, and I'll clear it up for you, okay? Let's see, now this one. Oh, this is from Lopo On in Singapore. He had a question yesterday about his database. He had an error in establishing a database connection. And Jack, I wanted to point this out because Jack, you jumped in to offer to help him. Thank you for doing that. And I wasn't worried about you hijacking the discussion. What you said to him was fine. I just wanted to make sure that you moved on from there. And Paul, the problem is that's a very technical question, as Jack suggested. And joining Masterminds isn't going to help you with that. That's not Masterminds forum is more like this. But it's private, smaller group, and it's more me, and we really talk about strategy and marketing techniques. When you get something as technical as your question, you're going to have to talk to your own site admins or hire somebody to sort that out so that you can get. I think that, by the way, is a WordPress installation. Again, yeah, it is WordPress. So again, another WordPress problem for one of our members. So Colleen or Sally or anybody else, don't feel bad, okay? WordPress is complicated. All right, now our friend Dave. Dave has a question, and let's see. I'm about to start approaching companies directly to advertise on one of my sites, and I'm looking for tips on how to approach and sell companies online advertising. We've already discussed pricing in a previous conversation, but any ideas about making the first approach and pitching digital advertising space would be welcome. For more info on the project you've posted on the site. Okay, I'm sorry I didn't get to see that yet. I'll have to, so this might be off base, but I'll give it a crack here because I know that you are an experienced you're an experienced ad guy anyway, so I'm not sure how much I can add, but I will try because that's my job, and as you guys know, I can talk about pretty much anything. So let's see. How would you sell online advertising? I guess we'll focus on how that differs from selling print advertising, because as I recall, you sell print advertising anyway. So what advertisers are looking for with online advertising, not surprisingly, is an increased level of accountability. Unlike with print advertising, where they, for some reason, for generations, were happy with writing a check just based on the circulation numbers of a magazine or the number of people that drive by a billboard every day. Online, everybody wants a lot more accountability. So you're going to find that they're a lot more interested in the reach of your email newsletters, the daily unique visitors on your website, what your Twitter followers or Facebook friend lists look like, their size and reach, that kind of impact. They expect a lot more quantifiable stuff than you would be used to from print. But the fact is, frankly, they don't usually know what it means, at least in my experience. So I would throw in whatever numbers you have that look as big and helpful as possible. And of course, be ready to answer questions and don't put in anything dishonest. But in my experience, it's more about like kind of check boxes in their mind. Like, are you on Twitter? Ah, yes, you are. Okay, good. Okay. If we do this, will we have exposure on Facebook? Oh, we will. Good. Okay. They don't really have a lot of reach beyond, a lot of depth beyond that. Of course, some of the agencies are a lot smarter than that. So it depends on who you're talking to, but in my experience, generally speaking, people are kind of taking a portion of their budget and saying this is going to be online. And then their boss says, okay, well, if that's how much we're spending on online, does that include Facebook? And the person says, oh, does that include Facebook? Yes, it does include Facebook. Okay, good. And that's kind of the extent of it. So I don't know if that's helpful or not. Yeah, and specific companies you're saying. Yes, well, that's what it is. I think you're going to be talking about specific proposals. A good resource I have found actually is Alexa.com. Let's see. Let's see here. Alexa, I was going to try to type that in. Alexa.com. There. That is free traffic stats that Amazon.com provides, and they can give you some free demographics about your audience. For your online audience, that is, and it's free, which is a great thing to be able to quote, of course, if you can say, you know, we're predominantly 18 to 49-year-old females with, 2 years of college education. That kind of stuff always looks impressive. I would look at that. If you have more specific questions, maybe you can post them in the forum, but maybe that'll give you a direction. Trying to think anything else. Oh, the other thing to do, I guess this has come in handy more than once, is whatever they're asking for, you can do a sweetener and say, if they ask for banner ads, you say, yes, we'll give you that for this price, and you can throw in things that are inexpensive or easy for you to do, or even automated, and they look really cool. So for example, if you post something on your blog and it automatically goes in your feed out to Twitter, then you can throw in Twitter advertising for free. Right? I wouldn't make too big a deal of that, but it's included, and they might not have been expected. So if you have any automated parts of your business or things that are easy to do or your staff to do, you can toss those in as value adds, and that can help, of course, win business as well, because everybody likes something for free. So, okay. Let's see. Ustream. No, guys, sorry. Ustream, the commercials are what it is. To broadcast to this many people otherwise would cost hundreds of dollars per session, and with this many people, commercials are what we've got, or else I have to start charging you for the forum. Right? I put way too much in this and essentially lose money anyway, so we're not going to upgrade the whole system. Okay, perfect overview, says Dave. Well, good. Well, thanks. Is that helpful? Good. Taking notes. Okay, good. And Sally too. Okay, good. Well, I'm glad. I've been doing this a long time, so sometimes I don't realize what I have in my head that might be helpful to you guys. Okay, so it's 3:30 already. Technically, we've done our hour. In fact, well past our 45 minutes. I know we got a late start, so we can do a couple more, especially if any of you have questions you want to post live in the chat room. I'll be happy to help you since you're here live. And I appreciate you being here. Let me see if there are any more housekeeping notes I wanted to recommend. As you know, there's always a lot of great questions going on in the forum, so please do stop by. If you enjoy these sessions, it would also be really helpful if you could help each other during the week and in between sessions in the forum. The way that we can all profit here is by building relationships and helping with each other. Like I just said, I know more than I realize sometimes, and so do each of you. That's why I do this. I believe firmly that every one of you has expertise that, well, you might take for granted. And you can pull that out and share that with other people. Now, you're not going to know the answer to everything any more than I do. But if you get in the forum and make a habit of going in and saying hi and just tossing it, even just words of support, that's really helpful. The other thing I'd love for you to do is share. If you can talk about the forum on Twitter, on Facebook, on Google+, on your own blog, link back to us. If you see a blog post of mine that you like, or you want to invite your friends to these video office hours, please tell other people, because we need the forum to keep growing. And if you do that, then we'll have more services. I can hire more people, and the whole thing just does better. And we can continue to donate more to charity from my side, and you get better answers too. Okay, so it's a win-win. The more you participate. So, okay. So next up, let's see. Okay, that's pretty much it. Okay, so I have one more question here, and then anything else that you all have, if you'd like to ask me in the chat room, then we'll keep going, or we'll wrap it up. And this is an interesting one that Eileen Berg wrote in about, and this is about Amazon.com. Amazon.com is selling books for 1 cent each. And apparently it's bothering Eileen, and I can understand that. So she says, "Hi, Scott. Sorry I can't make it to the session today, but a burning question I have is why are people selling books on Amazon for just 1 penny? Are they trying to build a list or what? Your site is number one." Well, thank you, Eileen. Yeah, you got it. They're trying to build a list. Books like that are generally loss leaders because the author or the publisher is trying to build a list, or they're trying to upsell you. They're trying to get your contact information, build a relationship in the hopes that they can sell you something more expensive, more profitable later. This is a major and fundamental paradigm shift that is going to affect all of us, certainly as consumers, and all of you and me as entrepreneurs as well, and something really to think through. In a world of infinite connectivity and free distribution, the ultimate price of any digital product is zero. I'll bet you they would actually give those books away, Eileen, for free, but that Amazon's requiring them to have a price of something more than zero. Everything that's digitally available is going to be free. It's not going to necessarily be good, but it's all going to zero. So, those of you that are involved in online business, you are correct, because now is the time. You need to build the audience now, because what is left after everything goes to zero, everything that's digitizable goes to zero? Physical products, where the margins are also going to be driven to zero because competition is just going to drive them down. Physical products, real-time experiences, and relationships. So, in the long run, I recommend to all of you, and this is the long run, I'm not saying this is happening next week, but in the next 10 years, almost everything is going to be for free. And if you don't think about that, factor it into your plans, you're going to be left with not much unless you focus also on real-time events or relationships. And that's why I talk about list building so often, and that's why they're doing this. Because if you can build a list, you can start building relationships with people. You can start building relationships with people, and that's how you can, over time, get them to like, know, and trust you and recommend things to them, and then maybe they'll buy it. And that's my recommendation for you too. So I would get building those lists, and I know it's annoying, but the other thing about these books on Amazon that are only a penny, Eileen, they're probably not the whole book. It's probably a teaser version. And if you're frustrated by this, which I could understand, because you've got a real book, then I would think about making a one-chapter teaser or a summary or something that you can give away almost for free, if not for free entirely, in order to rope people in and make them want more. And then you charge for the full version or the upsell or whatever else you can dream up. And this is a great topic for the forum. Come on over into the clickmillionaires.com forum. The product development and niche selection category in the forum is ripe for this. I talk about it in my books. They're called freemiums, right? In both of my last 2 books, I've talked quite a bit about this, and it's a good strategy for everybody to be thinking about. So freemiums are the buzzword for that, and I'll be happy to discuss it more with you. Okay, so what else we got? And Lori, okay, let's give a shout out to Lori. I was on a great podcast last week. I got interviewed by our friend here, Lori Lynn Smith, and fellow ClickMillionaires.com member, comeback coach James Holland. And we had a great chat about lifestyle design and what's wrong with all the social media gurus out there and a bunch of other stuff. It was really great speaking with them, and they're editing up that podcast now, she's saying here in the chat room, so watch for that. We'll post it soon. I guess she'll post it and I'll tell you, or she can tell us, Lori, too. Come on into the forum and tell people. And Dave says, let's see, please end with a quote of the week. Oh man, Dave, you got to give me a heads up on that. Let's see. What's a good quote? That's a good, you're right, because we should wrap this up. Let me point out, by the way, those of you that like this, if you are interested in more like this, I love having you all here, dozens of you at a time. If you'd like a smaller group where we focus more on your individual problems, at Click Millionaires Masterminds, we get groups together of 3 or 4 people at a time and talk intensively every week or so about their specific problems, and we can go into more depth. That's the upgraded service, obviously, $39 a month, but there's a free trial, so if you're interested in that, look on the site up there, I think, for you, or up there, where it says Masterminds, and come on in and check that out. I'd love to have see more of you over there, of course. And a quote of the week. Well, you know, the quote I come up with the most, I guess, Dave, is one that I started way back in high school. And this is a quote that has been attributed to a lot of different people. I've heard it attributed to Thomas Jefferson, Thomas Edison. The most I've researched it, the most reliable one I found was Samuel Goldwyn, who was the founder of the Goldwyn Studios, as in the G in MGM, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. So it's about 100 years old, or 80 years old, I guess, this quote, if that's the correct source. And that is, the harder I work, the luckier I get. People look at me and the life I have built. Even when I was a kid, I outworked my competitors. I'm a reasonably smart guy, but I also work hard. And most importantly, I work on the things that matter to me. And I've gone through more high-paying, prestigious corporate jobs than most people can even interview for, and walked away every time because what was most important to me was what I thought was most important. And I just don't take orders very well, and that's not, I don't play well with others at some level, I guess. But people sometimes make the mistake of saying you're so lucky. And I am lucky. God knows I'm blessed. And I'm blessed to have friends like you guys who will sit through a half an hour of microphone failure and still be here with me. But I'm also blessed because I work really hard and I focus on the things that matter and I get those things done first. And that's a recommendation I'd make to all of you. So if you're looking for a quotation, how about that? The harder I work, the luckier I get. Lazy people call it luck. Real entrepreneurs know better. So there you go. I hope that's a good one. I'll think of a better one for next time. But if that works for you, I hope it's helpful to any and all of you. And by the way, you know, I run a website, 365successquotes.com. Have you ever seen that one? 365successquotes.com. That is a live site that's got a couple thousand of my favorite quotes. And if that's interesting, you can sign up over there and we'll send you emails with quotes in them all the time. Proof of my easily distracted nature, but also the fact that when I have an idea that I like, I do it. And that's something I know has caught the attention of several of you folks, and I'd recommend it to you too. If you have an idea, now's the time. So it's been great having you here today. Thanks for joining me. I hope to see you all again in the forum real soon. I'm Scott Fox from clickmillionaires.com. Come on down. If you haven't, come over to the forum right now. You're on the computer anyway. The chat room's going to be closing, and this show's about over. But come to clickmillionaires.com and say hello. I'd love to see you there. And thanks for being with me. Thanks for being part of our community. And don't forget, tell your friends. Thanks for watching. 2 weeks from today, we'll do it again.